Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Alrighty, so the Peace is officially my favorite cigarette of all time. Or is it? Well, today we're going to be finding out once and for all by revisiting this pack of cigarettes right here for the first time in a little bit over a year, which I am looking forward to doing much more so than not, to say the least. But what is the Peace as a cigarette? Well, let's go ahead and start off with what Peace as a brand actually is. Peace is a historic, more high-end than not Japanese cigarette brand that was first introduced in 1946, right after the end of World War II, by what was at that time the Japanese tobacco monopoly. And at that time, Peace as a brand grew to become quite successful, and they grew to become quite the legendary nameplate, to say the least. And today, Peace is still a very legendary nameplate, and today there are many varieties of Peace on the market. Most varieties of Peace are priced at 600 yen, which is on the upper level of most like gas station or convenience stores cigarettes within Japan. But these are meant to be the highest end, the most luxury version of the Peace brand. And to back that up, these have a little bit more of a high price tag than not. Each 20-pack of the Peace costs 1,000 yen, and they are not available in convenience stores, only being sold at 4,000 different tobacconists across the country. This variety was first introduced in 2012, and each cigarette inside this pack contains 10 milligrams of tar and 1 milligram of nicotine, making it a more medium-strength cigarette than not. And when I first tried these cigarettes a little bit over a year ago now, I was absolutely floored, frankly put. The quality was insanely good. The taste was just amazing. And just the overall experience of the Peace was fantastic. I truly was floored. And due to that, I finished off my pack very quickly because I just enjoyed them that much. But honestly, finishing off my pack of the Peace so quickly was a huge mistake because it didn't give me any time to kind of step back and figure out whether the Peace was actually my favorite cigarette of all time or not. And for the last year, I have been thinking that the Peace is the highest quality, the best tasting, just the best overall cigarette that I've ever had. And I've been saying that a lot as well. But the thing is that I've been basing my claims on the fleeting memory of a series of amazing smokes. Thing is with memories, though, is that they're not always the most accurate. Sometimes memories make things seem a little bit worse than they really were, and sometimes they make things seem like they were a little bit better than they actually were. And so as such, well, I feel the need to revisit these cigarettes to confirm once and for all that they are actually my favorite cigarettes of all time. And so as such, well, that's exactly what this video is about today. But I do suppose I should probably go ahead and start talking about why the Peace is actually my favorite cigarette of all time. And then after that, I should probably go ahead and, well, actually get to smoking and everything like that kind of thing, and actually confirm whether the Peace really is my favorite cigarette of all time or not. But let's go ahead and start with the first reason why the Peace is my favorite cigarette of all time. And honestly, the first reason why the Peace is my favorite cigarette of all time is, simply put, the packaging. The packaging is gorgeous. I love the sort of dark, royal, almost black blue that they use with all the gold accents. Like, oh my God, I think the gold accents on the blue color just look amazing. And we've got like a little bit of like a dove holding like some leaves right here and everything like that. And this is all embossed as well. Just says the Peace right there. The Peace logo is all sort of a metallic gold. It's a little bit embossed kind of thing. Oh man, it just looks fantastic. It's a beautiful, simple piece of packaging that would look even better if there was no warning label on the front. Sadly, there is, though. There's nothing we can do about that, though, by any means. It is what it is, but the packaging looks amazing. And as we go to the back, it still looks amazing, frankly put. As we go to the side, it still looks amazing. As we go to the other side, we see the logo again, still looks absolutely amazing. The top looks amazing. It says 100% Virginia leaf, and that's another thing I really like about these cigarettes. I love the flavor. I love the blend of these cigarettes right here. It just tastes so dang good. The 100% like Virginia leaf sort of blend, and then I think there's like a little bit of like a vanilla added in there in like processing or something like that kind of thing. I don't know what it is, but the flavor, the blend of the piece is so damn good. In all honesty, it just tastes so good, and it really is one of my favorite tasting blends of tobacco of all time. I love the packaging. I love the blend as it mentions on the top of the pack as well. Taking a look at the bottom of the pack, I also love the fact that these have an expiration date, although that is something that all Japan Tobacco cigarettes have on the market in Japan. We can see that this specific pack has a best before date of February of 2025. It is not February of 2025 right now, so we are all good. Just says the piece once again right there. As a whole, this packaging looks fantastic, but this actually isn't the real packaging. That's right. Yeah, so this is the outer layer of the packaging. This is the cardboard packaging that surrounds a metal tin on the inside. That is really the third thing I absolutely love about the piece, and it's the fact that it comes in a metal tin. How many cigarettes these days come in a metal tin? Almost none. I can really only think of like 3 or 4. And this is one of them, with another piece being another one. And then there's like the Gudingram Surya, and then I think another Gudingram also comes in a metal tin. And those are the only cigarettes I know of off the top of my head that come in metal tins even still today. Like some packs in Mexico come in metal tins, but it's a metal tin that surrounds the pack of cigarettes. It's not actually that the cigarettes come in metal tins. I love, like, metal tins of cigarettes. I love it when like products that don't need to come in like really high quality pieces of packaging do. And that's exactly what they're doing with this cigarette right here, frankly put. It's a high-end luxury cigarette. They put it in metal packaging to really emphasize that. But honestly, they don't have to put these cigarettes in a metal tin, and yet they did anyway. I love it. I absolutely love it. Like for a lot of the other metal tins, it makes sense for the cigarettes to come in metal tins because like the other piece metal tin is a 50 tin. I think the Gudingram Surya tin is like a 36 tin or something like that kind of thing. It makes sense for like large quantities of cigarettes to come in, well, large quantity tins and whatnot, but this is a 20 pack. This is a 20 pack. This could just totally go in a normal pack, but they didn't. They put just that much extra effort in, and I love that, frankly put. Well, let's go ahead and get the cellophane all off of the pack, and let's go ahead and just get it off just like that kind of thing. Go ahead and throw it all in my backpack. And let's go ahead and actually get the metal tin out, because the metal tin really is the main bit of the packaging that I absolutely love, and just hearing it, we can hear the metal just a little bit kind of thing, just a little bit. Of course, the packaging looks even better with this cellophane off. It just looks so damn good, to say the least. Without further ado, let's go ahead and just get this all opened up just like that. And we can see there is the top of the tin right there. Let's go ahead and just get it out. Oh man, oh, it looks so good. I love the packaging. This, I gotta admit, like, there is iconic packaging out there, like Marlboro's super iconic packaging, Lucky Strike's super iconic packaging, Camel Unfiltered, super iconic packaging. And some packaging is beautiful, like the Camel with the K Reds. That packaging is gorgeous. But like when it comes to simple, beautiful Art Deco packaging, there's really not too much out there these days. Like Lucky Strike Reds, definitely close. The Camel with the K Reds, definitely close. But this is just gorgeous. It's such a shame that these cigarettes, even with the metal tin, even though it comes inside a cardboard sleeve, are meant to are required to have the warning label on the front, because this would look even better without the warning label on the front. But the piece logo itself, the colors used, it looks so Art Deco. It looks so beautiful. I love it. I really, really, really do love it. I ain't gonna lie. It looks so dang good. Let's go ahead and now just cover the packaging just a little bit. We can see we get a beautiful sort of dark blue sort of background. I definitely have to say, of course, this tin is indeed metal. We can hear it is metal. And then we can see there is the piece all in text right there. That is a little bit metallic, which is very nice if I do say so myself. And then we can see the sort of like dove flying down from the sky with the sort of like leaf or laurel in its mouth. And this is all very embossed. And it's not just embossed, it's actually pressed into the tin itself. If I remember correctly, it's not just like stuccoed on by any means. It looks amazing. It looks so high-end. It looks so luxury. It looks so good. I'm a fan. I'm a fan, to say the least. We can see the Japanese warning label below that. It's okay. I'm just glad that it still has the sort of blue background to it, but it's a warning label. It is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. This packaging would definitely look better without the warning label, but I'm not going to complain too much. This packaging is still some of my favorite I have ever seen, frankly put. And it certainly is nice to have some amazing packaging for the cigarette that at this moment in time, once I actually get to smoke it, I might change my mind, but it is nice to have nice packaging for the cigarette that I personally consider to be my favorite cigarette of all time, right now at least. As I said, my opinion may change once I actually get to smoking, but I'm confident it will stay the same, but I don't know anything for sure. Well, now that I've covered the front of the packaging, which I think just looks amazing, let's go ahead and cover the back. We can see in the middle right there in gold, it just says 100% Virginia leaf. Once again, coming back to the blend of the tobacco, the blend of the cigarettes themselves, which, as said, is another one of my favorite things about this cigarette. Moving on to this area down here, we can see it just says the piece, and then it just says 20 cigarettes in the pack. Then moving on below that, we can see it just says 10 milligrams of tar, 1 milligram of nicotine. That's another thing I like about the cigarettes inside this pack. They're not too strong, they're not too light. When I smoked the cigarettes inside this pack so quickly, one of the reasons why I smoked them so quickly is because they really were the perfect strength. They were just strong enough to get me a buzz, but just light enough where I can smoke them at any time. There's certain cigarettes, let's say American Spirit Blacks, which are another one of my favorite cigarettes, but American Spirit Blacks are not a cigarette that I can smoke on a super routine basis. They're just too strong. I struggle to have them as my last cigarette of the night. They're just too strong for that. I struggle to have them sometimes in the morning. They just get me too buzzed, frankly put. They're not an everyday cigarette for me by any means, but one of my favorite things about these cigarettes is that they have a very moderate strength. They are a really good just daily cigarette, if you ask me, at least just due to the moderate strength. We can see there's a little bit of a warning label to the side of this text right here that basically just says, depending on how you smoke, you're going to get either more or less nicotine or something like that kind of thing. If you only take one puff of the cigarette, of course, you're only going to get 1 puff's worth of tar and nicotine and everything like that. Below that, in gold, it just says JT right there, and then it just has their call number and just shows how to recycle this tin and whatnot. I'm ever throwing this away, because I am not ever throwing this away. This is a collectible for me, at least. Well, without further ado, now that I've covered the back of the packaging, which is a little bit more simple and just informational than not, let's go and cover this side. It just says the piece with the little bit of a dove diving down. So the same thing on the bottom, on the other side, and on the top as well. They could have totally skimped on doing any sort of logos on the entirety of the side of the packaging, and honestly, I think it would look just fine like that as well, but they went for it, and that's something I like seeing, frankly put. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this tin all opened up, and let's go ahead and take a look at what the foil actually looks like inside this pack. So there we go. Got it all opened up, and we can see, oh man, it's packaged like a sardine can. The inside of the lid right here is a very nice gold. We can see the actual logo on the front is indeed pressed in as well, and we can see we get a beautiful sort of dark blue, rich tinfoil right here that's just kind of packing the cigarettes in like a sardine, making sure that they stay fresh permanently. I have faith that if you left one of these packs inside the cardboard box and you just shoved it in a shelf for 30 years, I have faith that the cigarettes inside this pack would probably still be just fine, because cigarettes age the best in metal. In cardboard packs, and especially in soft packs, they tend to age a little bit faster than not. Within 10 years, they start tasting a little bit old, and within 30 years, they start tasting genuinely old. But there are multiple examples that are very easy to find online of people opening up 50 metal tins of cigarettes from the 1930s, and they're smoking them, and they're these taste brand new. And it's just because it's a vacuum sealed metal tin. Now, I don't think this is vacuum sealed by any means, but it's still a metal tin. I have faith that these cigarettes would stay good for a lot longer than a comparable pack of other piece cigarettes. but the foil itself just looks amazing. It just says peace over and over and over again on the foil. That is something I really like. I love how it's just neatly packed in like sardines, frankly, but I think it looks really good. And I love how it just says peace over and over and over again. Just trying to show that to you. It just says peace over and over and over again, just like that. Oh man, it just looks so good. Makes a little bit of a metally noise as well. And there's a little bit of a pull tab right here. Let's go ahead and just pull that up now if I possibly can, just like that. And oh man, look at how neatly that slides back. Oh man, I didn't show y'all like part of that. Whoopsies. But look at how neatly that slides back. Oh man, that is just so dang nice. And the foil itself, it's not just like some cheapy sort of really bad sort of just cigarette pack foil. Like this actually has some rigidity to it. It's actually like a really thick tin foil. That's something I like. That is something I like. I'm gonna go and put this in my backpack just so I don't be littering or nothing like that kind of thing. And now let's take a look at the second bit of foil in the packaging, because there is a second bit of foil. There's a little bit of a tab right here that you fold up to take a look at the cigarettes and everything like that kind of thing. This foil is all gold, and we can see there is the peace dove with the leaves kind of diving down just all over it. Some of it metallic, some of it a little bit more matte. Looks fantastic as a whole, if you ask me. Oh man, this cigarette smells so damn good. That's another thing I love about these cigarettes. They smell so good. I'm getting a really nice sort of sweet vanilla tobacco scent off of them. It almost smells like a pipe tobacco. It almost smells like a pipe tobacco. It really, actually, it does smell like a pipe tobacco. I'm not gonna say almost, it does smell like a pipe tobacco. It smells like a pipe tobacco with like a little bit of vanilla scent to it kind of thing. It smells really, really, really damn good. Oh man, like really sweet, little bit of, yeah, very much like a vanilla extract sort of smell coming off of the cigarettes. Oh man, it smells so damn good. The foil looks fantastic. That's another thing I love about these cigarettes, and the cigarettes themselves look fantastic as well. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get one of the cigarettes all out. And now, let's go ahead and take a look at these cigarettes and talk about whether I like the look of this cigarette or not. And I will acknowledge, now, these are not like the best looking cigarettes I've ever seen. That is something I will acknowledge. This is not like my favorite look for a cigarette of all time by any means. I do think there are cigarettes that do look better than this one. But what I will also acknowledge is that these are still really damn good looking cigarettes. The white filter makes them look a little bit more classy in my perspective, a little bit more luxury. We get the sort of like gold dove diving down right there. And then we get in blue, it's saying the peace. That's right. They didn't just use one color on the cigarette filter. Like a lot of cigarette filters, you only see like one color and stuff like that kind of thing. Like that's generally the standard in the United States, is just one color on the cigarette filter. There is some exception to that, of course, but the general standard is they use one color on the cigarette filter kind of thing. Or they use like cork style with like gold band, or white with a silver band, or white with a gold band, or something like that kind of thing. There's generally like only like one color, especially if there's text on this cigarette filter. But this one, white filter, gold, dark blue, gold. Oh man, it looks so luxury, it looks so good. And it really does just make this cigarette look a little bit more scrumptious than not, if you ask me at least. The gold right there is that particularly metallic. Maybe a little bit shiny, but not really metallic per se. I'd have to say the piece with the "the" being in cursive, and then that being in the dark blue. That looks really good as well in my perspective. And then the gold band down there is very much the same gold as the dove right up there. Looks fantastic, to say the least. We can see the paper itself does indeed have some vertical lines going all the way across to kind of, I think those are meant to help the cigarette not run. I don't know if it's actually for FSC. I'm not exactly sure about that, in all honesty. The blend is another thing I love about these cigarettes, frankly, but the blend is super bright. The blend is like really bright. It's not like the brightest blend I've ever seen by any means, I'd have to say, but it is definitely a lot brighter than like your standard American blend of cigarettes. It's very much a, well, I'd have to say like medium bright blend. I'm gonna go ahead and just get another one out just to make sure that the one I'm looking at is not like a little bit darker than usual. Let's just take a look. Yeah, no, I'd have to say that's about right. You know, the blend, very much a medium bright blend, a little bit different than I'm used to for sure. And the smell of the cigarette, oh man, so damn good, so damn good. Very much a sweet vanilla extract like taste with a little bit of sugar in there. I'd have to say the sugary taste is sort of that of like a powdered sugary taste. Or not taste, sorry, smell. So yeah, it's like vanilla extract with like a little bit of powdered sugar. Like, if this was a pipe tobacco, it would probably be considered an aromatic pipe tobacco in all honesty, because it is, I don't know if the tobacco really has this natural of like a sort of smell to it, but it smells really damn good. I don't care if this is an aromatic cigarette or not, it smells amazing, frankly put. It really does smell so damn good. Is there any perforation on the filter? I forget. There is indeed one small line of perforation. There's a bunch of dots, but the dots are really small. If I remember correctly, it doesn't really have that big of an effect on the smoking experience, but as said, if I'm remembering correctly. So there's only one way to find out, and that's to actually get this cigarette right here all lit up, and is to actually go ahead and confirm whether the piece is actually, officially, my favorite cigarette of all time. Thank you so much to Jifa for having been kind enough to provide this pack for this video today. I was so wound up with with getting the opportunity to try another The Piece. I love The Piece so much. I was so wound up, I was so excited that it completely slipped my mind at the very beginning of the video to give you a shout out, my man. My sincerest apologies. Jifa, a viewer, was kind enough to contribute this pack to the channel for me to make a video on. Thank you so much to Jifa. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your contribution to the channel, my man. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, my man, for providing the pack of The Piece for me to make a video on. This video would quite literally not be possible until the next time I go to Japan. So I literally would not be able to make this video for some time. So thank you so much once again to Jifa. Really do appreciate your contribution to the channel. But I do suppose, without further ado, I should probably go ahead and actually get this cigarette right here all lit up. And I suppose I should probably go ahead and confirm whether The Piece is actually my favorite cigarette of all time. I'm honestly kind of nervous because I have been saying that The Piece is my favorite cigarette of all time all throughout this video. I have been saying that it is my favorite cigarette of all time for the last little bit over a year now. But this is really the point that matters. This is where everything is either going to come to a close or it's going to remain the same. Will this cigarette actually provide me with the smoking experience that I remember being amazing? Or will I have to say that The Piece is not actually my favorite cigarette of all time? That it's just really good, but it's not actually my favorite cigarette of all time. I really don't want to say that. I've been saying that The Piece is my favorite cigarette of all time for over a year now. I don't want to go back on that statement. I try to be a man of my word, you know what I'm saying? But there's only one way to find out. I'm a little bit nervous, as said, though, but I think I'm going to take a sip of water real quick. Have a little bit of sip of water, calm down for a moment, you know? Feeling a little bit anxious. I think I need a little bit of a cigarette. And that's about what that's what I'm about to do, you know what I'm saying? But I do suppose, without further ado, it is now time for me to go ahead and use my Zippo lighter to light up The Piece, which is possibly my favorite cigarette of all time. And I do suppose it is time for me to find out whether The Piece is actually my favorite cigarette of all time. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this cigarette all lit up, and let's go ahead and get to smoking it, and let's get to revisiting this cigarette and finding out whether it really is my favorite or not. Yes sir, you know what I'm saying? Very smooth. A little bit airy right off the bat. I don't remember that too much. There we go. It's starting to kick in just a little bit. The flavor I'm getting is very much that of a nutty, sweet, sort of powdered sugar, vanilla-like taste is really the taste I'm getting right off the bat. I'll definitely admit, though, this cigarette is definitely not quite what I remember. It's a little bit more airy than I remember. It certainly is. It's very smooth. There's a little bit of roughness, but it's very smooth. It's very much like high 2, low 3 out of 4. The airflow is perfectly fine. It's not constricted by any means. The draw is a little bit heavy, simply due to the line of perforation, making it a little bit of a heavier draw. And I'm thinking the reason why the draw might be a little bit lighter than not right now is simply because of the size of this cigarette as well. This is indeed a 100 size cigarette. 100 size cigarettes are not generally to my preference. There's some I really like, such as this one. But one of the reasons why I don't generally like 100 size cigarettes is just because at the very beginning, it's a little bit more airy, a little bit smaller body than not. And that's what I'm getting from this cigarette as well. This is, yeah, very good quality. Is it as good of quality as I remember it being? Getting a really nice creamy taste. I'm getting no sort of paper taste, chemical taste, or additive taste. Over the last year, I'll acknowledge that my taste buds have gotten a little bit more sensitive. I think helped by the fact that I've been smoking a lot of cigars, helped by the fact that I've been smoking a lot of pipe tobacco, which tend to be a little bit higher quality than cigarettes. And I'd have to say, this is definitely still one of the highest quality cigarettes I've ever had. It's not as high quality as I remember, though. And now that I'm kinda smoking it, the strength is nice, but it's a bit light for my personal preference. I'm being very critical right now. I'm just trying to list off kind of all the negative things about it before I really decide, because I'm gonna have like another one of these, if not another one after that as well. I'm gonna be taking my time to decide officially. I'm like, if I'm gonna say something is officially my favorite cigarette, I am going to make sure 100%. And so I'm not blazing through this super quickly by any means. I am taking my time. So I'm listing off all the negative things about it that are just they're not really negative things. They're just things that are different from what I remember and might not be so much of my personal preference. No sort of tarriness towards the end. A little bit more roughness for sure. Okay, a little bit of tarriness at the very end, but not much. Very clean tasting cigarettes. Very clean tasting. Okay, so my impressions after the first cigarette is that, oh man, I'm gonna have more cigarettes, but this pains me to say. My impressions after the first one is that it's not actually my favorite cigarette of all time. It's like still like top 3, like still top 5. Okay, maybe no, top 3. Yeah, I'd have to say top 3 still, right? But, oh man, it's different than I remember. It's slightly lower quality than I remember. It's a little bit more airy than I remember. The flavor is really good. It's a really nice flavor. The flavor is as I remember, but it's a little bit more airy. And the strength is a bit lighter than I remember as well. I think over the last year, I really have started to prefer stronger cigarettes than not. I've been smoking a lot of like American Spirit full-bodied reds. Those are one of my favorite American Spirits right now. One of my favorite American cigarettes in general right now. And I've started to prefer stronger cigarettes. And this cigarette is not quite that. Oh man. Oh man. I'm gonna have to have another one. I'm just giving myself a moment to think. I genuinely, I was coming into this video and I was genuinely expecting. Like, I was so confident in saying that it was really my favorite cigarette just because my memory, it really did make the cigarettes out to be a little bit better than they really are in reality. They're still really good cigarettes. Not gonna deny that. They're really good cigarettes. Still a must try in my personal opinion. Still a really solid smoke in my like top 3, top 5 for sure. But I don't know if they're actually my favorite. I think my preferences over the last year might have changed. Oh man. Oh man. Oh no. Oh no. And now I'm remembering, all throughout this video, I've been like, oh yeah, no, this is my favorite cigarette. Oh no, oh no. Oh no. Okay. All right, y'all. I'm gonna have another one because I gotta confirm. And then I might have another one after that. The cigarette's definitely not as strong as I remember. Yeah. Let's get my pack all opened up once again. Let's get another one all out. I wonder if it would be more to my preference if I packed it. I don't know if I really did a very good job packing it, but let's get another V-Piece cigarette, all it up. And let's go ahead and smoke it again. And I think this cigarette, I'm gonna really try to focus on just kind of giving you guys an overview of just what the cigarette is like as a whole, not just experiencing it for the first time like I did with the first cigarette. I'm gonna try to give you guys an overview, kind of a full review kind of thing. Let's go ahead and get this cigarette all lit up. Yes sir, you know what I'm saying. So at the very beginning, definitely a little bit more airy than not, for sure. The draw at the very beginning is quite light. It's not super heavy by any means. And it is a little bit airy. It's light and airy, I think is really the right way of putting it. The body at the very beginning is a little bit smaller, a little bit more airy than not for sure. Although I have faith it's gonna get bigger as we get through the cigarette. And the taste is very much that of a, I think really the right way of describing it is a almond buttery, peanutty, creamy, milky, powdered sugar, vanilla like taste. I think that's really the right way of describing the taste. I'm definitely noticing more depth of the taste now than I did last year, for sure. And the taste is really nice, but I'm just now realizing as well that kind of my taste, and I prefer something a little bit more full-bodied because there is a little bit of airiness in the taste as well. You can taste a little bit of air. Oh man, have my preferences changed that much in a year? Oh no. Wow. This whole experience right now is making me realize just how fleeting memories are and just how inaccurate they really can be. Before this video, I want to acknowledge I did not watch my first review, my first ever time trying a VP cigarette. I didn't want to revisit. I didn't want to kind of change my thoughts on this cigarettes based off of that video. I wanted to just kind of come into this just based off my memory. And I'm really glad that I did, because it's really making me realize just how much my preferences have changed in the last year. Oh my God. Let's go and test the body again. The body, definitely a little bit bigger now, definitely a little bit less airy, much more to my preference at this point in the smoke than it was at the very beginning, for sure. And you know, the taste I'm getting, the taste I'm getting is very much that of a much sweeter than not powdered sugar with an undertone of vanilla extract, with an undertone of a peanut buttery, almond buttery, like butter, creamy, milky taste. That's what the taste I'm getting from this cigarette is actually like. Tastes really good. The draw is a little bit airy at the very beginning. It's much lighter, much more airy draw at the very beginning. The portion of the cigarette that I really like is the very end of it. Like, if the entire cigarette was like the very end of this, I think I would prefer it more. Yeah, so the draw at the very end, still getting a very nice taste, a little bit more roughness, which is nice. Roughness and smoothness wise, I have to say these cigarettes are very much like a high 2 out of 4, low 3 out of 4. Strength wise, very much a high 2 out of 4, low 3 out of 4. And the draw definitely gets a little bit to be more of a medium, less airy draw at the very end. We can definitely tell, just looking at the filter, that the perforation does indeed do its job. As we can see, there's a white line going all the way around the tar in the center right there, which is very, very, very bright. Much brighter than I'm used to, in all honesty. I'm gonna go and stuff this out on the ground. See, the draw at the very end is very much a sort of medium sort of draw. Much less airy than it is at the very beginning. And the draw at the beginning is a little bit light, a little bit airy. I definitely like the second cigarette more than I like the first cigarette. I think the first cigarette kind of just threw me off a little bit because it wasn't quite what I remembered. But then the second cigarette, I'm kind of experiencing it a little bit more. I'm getting used to it. And now I'm starting to kind of think again that V-Piece might actually be my favorite cigarette. Like, that first cigarette kind of threw me off. I was kind of thinking at that point that it might not be my favorite cigarette, but now I'm kind of leaning back towards that. I'm kind of leaning back towards it might be my favorite cigarette. Interesting. It has been a very long time since I have been this conflicted. Like, sometimes when I try a new cigarette, I'm like, yeah, you know, I feel a little bit conflicted. But, like, generally, I'm quite confident in my thoughts. Quite confident in whether a cigarette is good or bad and what I kind of think about it. Like, when I say that the American Spirit Blacks, when I say that the American Spirit Blacks are my favorite cigarette from the United States market, I mean it. I really do. But my favorite cigarette of all time, that's such a significant statement. In my opinion, at least, as somebody who has tried, like, I think over 300 different cigarettes now. Maybe not quite over 300, but it's getting up there. Oh, man. I'm now feeling just the weight of this decision so heavily. I gotta have another one. I gotta have another one. I was planning on having like 3 cigarettes today, so I'm not stressing about it. But yeah, and I definitely need another one. I'm glad I really had that first one. The first one was really good to kind of experience again. The second one, kind of just let you guys know how the cigarette was as a whole. Now this third one, I'm gonna be really trying to figure out whether it's actually my favorite cigarette of all time. And if I need a fourth one, I'm gonna let myself have a fourth one. I'm not rushing this decision by any means. I am gonna take a sip of water. I am gonna have a palate refresher though. I am not rushing this decision. This is a monumental decision I have to make. Oh, wait a minute. I just realized. I remember part of the reason why I like the strength so much. After having 2 cigarettes, it just clicked. Because I really like smoking cigarettes back to back. That's like my personal habit, is smoking 2 cigarettes right one after each other. I really like doing that. I don't just like having 1 cigarette, I like having 2. And like American Spirit Blacks are like way too heavy to do that with. American Spirit Full Body Reds, almost too heavy to do that with. These cigarettes though, are the perfect strength for that. They are the perfect strength. They get me the perfect amount of buzz when I have 2 cigarettes back to back. That's why I like the strength so much. I'm remembering now. Oh man. Well, let's go ahead and get the pack all opened up once again. And let's go ahead and get another one all out, just like that. And let's go ahead and get back to smoking, y'all. Yes sir, you know what I'm saying. And I think with this one, I'm gonna try to give myself a little bit of a screenshot as well. I'm getting more jumbled up. Oh man. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get back to smoking. Yes sir, you know what I'm saying. One of the things that I think I've definitely started preferring over the last year is cigarettes that smoke a little bit longer than not. And while this cigarette doesn't burn super fast by any means, it definitely does burn faster than I'm used to. I've been smoking a lot of American Spirits over the last year, and a lot of cigarettes that are kind of similar to American Spirits. And I've just started appreciating a longer smoke than not, especially since I've really been enjoying cigars and pipe tobacco over the last year. And this cigarette does not provide a super long smoke, but it's perfect for just having 2 back to back, I will acknowledge. But that is one other thing that I do think I've started preferring more over the last year, is just cigarettes that burn, rather than for like 5 minutes, for like 8 minutes. These cigarettes, really high quality. Oh man. This is difficult. Still very much getting that sort of powdered sugar, vanilla, peanut butter, almond butter, just buttery, milky, creamy tobacco taste as a whole. Really nice taste. I'd like these cigarettes more if they had more strength, though. I do think I would. If they were a little bit less airy. Really, the airiness is really killing it for me. I really don't want to say that these are not my favorite cigarette of all time. I'm making this video today to say whether they are or aren't. And I started this video by saying they are officially my favorite cigarette of all time. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. I love the packaging. The packaging is some of my favorite I've ever seen. The look of the cigarette's amazing. The inside of the pack, amazing. The cigarettes look fantastic. The taste is fantastic. I can still say genuinely that these are some of the best cigarettes I've ever had. That they are some of the best cigarettes that you can buy that I have ever tried. At least. But I'm not sure if today they are to my preference enough to say that they're actually my favorite cigarettes of all time. They're still in the top 5. I don't know if I can say that they're my favorite cigarettes of all time. Oh man, I don't know. My preferences have changed over the last year. I've started preferring a stronger, longer smoking, rougher cigarette. This is really good. I could totally smoke these daily. Maybe if I got like used to smoking these daily, but just with what I'm used to right now, which is stronger cigarettes than not. Oh man, oh man. And like, the more that I think about it, the more that I'm like, do I prefer the other Peace cigarettes more? Because like, the Peace original filter is stronger. A little bit lower quality, but it's stronger and it has a more full flavored taste. Oh no. Oh wait, what? Oh man. All right. I need another one. I'm gonna have another one. This is such a hard decision to make. I am going to smoke until I make this decision. I think I'm gonna try to only let myself have one more. Wow. And the thing is, if I don't like to flip-flop between favorites. I don't. That's one of my things that I don't like doing. I like having a favorite cigarette that I say is my favorite cigarette. It's my favorite cigarette for a long time. I don't like to flip-flop. I don't like to be flaky like that. So if I decide after the fourth cigarette I'm going to smoke in just a minute, that the Peace is not actually my favorite cigarette, that leaves the question, what actually is my favorite cigarette? And honestly, I don't know. In fact, I won't even know if the Peace is even my favorite cigarette from Japan anymore. I'm feeling right now, oh man. I've been hyping myself up on how good the Peace is for the last year. And they're really damn good. But they're not as good they're not quite as good as I remember. Oh man, oh no. All right, I gotta have a fourth one. Y'all. And it's not this change in the flavor or anything like that kind of thing, or anything like that. But just to make sure, because I am using a yellow flame butane insert today, so I'm not using like a normal Zippo insert by any means. But to make sure it's not the lighter, I do have a Bic lighter with me today. This is how I used a Bic lighter to light my last the Peace cigarette last year. So I'm just gonna use a Bic lighter for this last one. I'm gonna see if that makes a major difference. I don't think it's going to, but we'll find out. Got another one all out now. Let's go ahead and get this cigarette lit up. Let's go and get, oh man, I'm getting more jumbled up. Oh man. I am feeling right now very conflicted, and it's distracting me to a significant extent. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get my 4th cigarette of the video all lit up, and let's go and get back to smoking. Yes sir, you know what I'm saying? The taste at the very beginning is maybe a little bit different, but nothing significant, not enough to really affect my thoughts. Oh man. I don't know how much I'm gonna talk during this cigarette. I think I'm just gonna really try to think. I'm gonna stand up as well. Kind of change what I'm doing. Because when I'm sitting down, I definitely puff a little bit differently than when I'm standing up and kind of walking around. And one of the things that made me love the piece so much is that it was really good for like walking around and smoking. I just found a little cicada shell. Yeah, a little cicada shell right there. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. I'm gonna put it on the back of my car. Huh. Cicadas are not cute, but their shells are. Cicadas are dumb bugs. They're so stupid. They get on their back and they can't figure out how to flip over. It's so funny. Well, it's not really funny. It's just sad, actually. It's so sad that it's actually kind of funny. Oh man. I'm really glad I stood up. It's definitely given me some perspective. It's kind of changed my way of thinking just a little bit. It's kind of woken me up, kind of gotten me out of my funk just a little bit. Just kind of feeling a little bit of a funk there, just kind of circling over in the same thoughts over and over and over again. I really like the piece. I think really the thing that's kind of messed me up is just that the piece, it's not quite what I remember. It's a little bit airy at the beginning. It's good quality. It's really good quality. One of the best quality cigarettes I've ever had, but it's not as high quality as I quite remember. It's not quite as strong as I remember. I think it's really just this whole, my whole thought process with everything I just said is just a sign that over the last year, my preferences have changed. That's really a sign. And the same thing has happened previously, I will acknowledge. Marlboro Southern Cuts used to be my favorite cigarette of all time, back when I first started smoking cigarettes. And then I started noticing more chemical taste and whatnot. I switched to Marlboro Virginia Blends, a little bit higher quality. But then switched to, oh man, I can't remember what came after that, but then to the Peace. Yeah.
Love your channel.
Hey, appreciate it,
I was
yo.
watching you the other day and I was like, holy shit, he's you know where he is.
Oh shit.
Waiting to find you. That's so cool.
Hey, thank you so much for the support, my man. I do appreciate it.
You have a good day, alright?
You as well. Stay safe.
Thank you.
I was not expecting that by any means. Thank you so much for saying hi, my man. If you're watching this video, thank you so much for saying hi. I do appreciate it. Oh man, I was not expecting that. That threw me off a little bit, I'll acknowledge. Thank you so much for saying hi, my man. I appreciate the support, of course. But getting back on topic. With that fourth cigarette out of the way, is the Peace really my favorite cigarette of all time? It's up there. It's still a really good cigarette. My thoughts are so conflicted right now. Just simply because it's different than I remember. But after having had 4 of them in the last 30 minutes or so, excuse me, I can say with confidence that the Peace is definitely different than I remember it being. It's different than I remember it being. It's still really good though. But is it like the end all be all? For me, if I'm gonna choose a favorite cigarette, I want it to be like the one cigarette that I'm gonna smoke. Like if I had to choose one cigarette to smoke for the rest of my life, would it be that cigarette? And there's a bunch of cigarettes that fit that criteria. In all honesty, American Spirit Blacks fit that criteria. American Spirit Full Bodied Reds, American Spirit Grays. Honestly, unless my memory is lying to me once again, the Peace Original Filter, the Peace Unfiltered. Flor Marota. There's a bunch of cigarettes that I'm like, if I had to smoke one cigarette for the rest of my life, what would it be? And honestly, can I say now that the Peace is that cigarette? Is even one of those cigarettes? I'm not sure if I can. I'm really feeling the need for another. And this is the problem. There's going to be a cycle, a loop of me just smoking another one and going, I'm still not sure. Oh man, this is such a hard decision to make. I know it might not seem like it, but this really is. Should I have another? Should I literally smoke 5 cigarettes during today's video? Well, I think one thing we can prove during today's video is that VPs are really good chain smoking cigarettes. Because if I was trying to chain smoke American Spirit Blacks, like I am, like I'm chain smoking VPs, I wouldn't be able to. Just simply put, wouldn't be able to. Oh no, and the cicada shell fell down. Well, it did get a bit breezy. I just simply put, wouldn't be able to. Because that is another good thing about VPs. It's a good chain smoking cigarette. Oh, man. The more that I smoke them, the more that I'm kind of mentally convincing myself that they're my favorite cigarette as well. The more I want to convince myself that they are my favorite cigarette, because I've been saying that for the last year. I don't want to back down on my word. I know I'm just a guy on the internet, but I do take my own opinions mildly seriously. Especially when it comes to something I really like cigarettes. Oh man. I'm gonna have another one. I gotta have another one. Yes sir, you know what I'm saying? And like my thought process right now is like, am I really trying to convince myself that they're my favorite cigarettes of all time? Or is it just that the more I'm smoking them, the more I'm liking them? Like the first cigarette threw me off, the second cigarette kind of convinced me that they were my favorite cigarette again, and the third cigarette was like, fourth cigarette was like, yeah, pretty good. This is difficult. This is really difficult. The taste is amazing. They're really high quality. I like the strength. You know, I think I can say with certainty that these are my favorite Japanese cigarettes, at least right now. At least until the next time I go to Japan. These are my favorite Japanese cigarettes. This is a really hard decision to make. And I've been sitting here for like 30 minutes trying to make this decision, and I'm still not able to make it. I'm trying to hurry up my thought process and to decide, but I am one of those people that I can make on-the-fly decisions, but when I've got to make a decision that really matters, and I consider this to be a decision that really matters, I have to think about it for a long time. I do. I right now feel like no joke, like when it comes to like spending over $100, like over $100, like I'd have to say actually over $80 on something. When it comes to spending over $80 on something, I really have to think for a very long time, for like days. And I'm trying to make this decision. Like, I feel like I'm making a decision where I'm spending lots of money right now. And I'm trying to force myself to do this in a shorter time frame than I'm used to. Like, I've been looking at backpacks. I kind of want a new backpack, because this backpack, while it's been good, this backpack right here, while it's been good, it's getting a little bit beat. And I think there's other backpacks that will do what I want better. I've been doing research. I've been thinking about it for weeks, and I just keep deciding I'm just going to stick with the same backpack I have. It works. Why would I change? And I might find some other backpack that I like better just at the thrift shop. And kind of it's the same process for me with this cigarette right now. It's something that I'm having to think about, but it's also something that I'm like, is there some other cigarette I might like more? Because I'm having to think, okay, with all the cigarettes we've tried in the past, like, is my memory lying to me about any of those cigarettes? Like, this is still very much a 4 out of 4 cigarette. 4 out of 4 means, like, it's a masterpiece. It's one of the best cigarettes I've ever had. Comparable cigarettes to that, Flor Morota, Natural Mezcla, Peace Original Filter, Peace Unfiltered, American Spirit Blacks, American Spirit Full Bodied Reds. Those are all 4 out of 4s. And this is a 4 out of 4 as well, for sure. It's just, the taste is unique. The taste is really good. But could I actually, if I had to live with this cigarette as the only cigarette I could smoke for the rest of my life, could I do it? I mean, like, I think I could, 100%, but if I had my choice of other cigarettes, would I still choose this one? If you asked me just an hour and 10 minutes ago now, I would have probably said, yeah, this is the cigarette I want to live with for the rest of my life. Now I'm not sure, now I'm not so confident. But you know, at the same time, when it comes down to do-it-all cigarettes, chain smoking, really good taste, really good quality, a lot of the cigarettes I really like that I consider to be really good are a little bit too strong to do everything. They're really good, but they're too strong to do everything. And this cigarette just does it all well. And so, you know, I think I've just made my decision. All right. I think I've made my decision. I'm really glad I had that 5th cigarette. Okay, so after 5 cigarettes, after almost 40 minutes, I think actually over 40 minutes of me trying to figure out whether The Peace is actually my favorite cigarette of all time, I have come to a decision. Is The Peace my favorite cigarette of all time? Yes, it is. Kind of. Yes, it's my favorite cigarette of all time. My favorite overall cigarette of all time. As an overall cigarette, The Peace does everything very well. In some aspects, amazing. When it comes to taste, it's one of my favorite cigarettes of all time, but not my absolute favorite. I think that right now is probably going to go to the American Spirit Blacks. When it comes to strength, these are not exactly my favorite. I think that probably goes to the American Spirit Full Bodied Reds and American Spirit Dark Blues and American Spirit Grays. When it comes to quality, this is a tie. It's a tie between most of the American Spirits I've tried, some of the other Peace cigarettes, the highlights, and this one, along with the Flor Morota Natural Mezcla. When it comes to hit, like how it hits, this one's good, but it's not the best. But while I might not be, for me at least, I think really the right way of putting it is, The Peace is not quite my favorite in any one category. It's not quite my favorite in taste. It's not quite my favorite in strength. It's not quite my favorite in draw, airflow, roughness, smoothness. Okay, actually, it might be my favorite in roughness and smoothness because it's really smooth and it's so nice for the smoothness. That's something I actually really like, so it might be my favorite in that aspect. It's not my favorite cigarette in most categories, though, by any means. But I think as an overall cigarette, as a do-it-all cigarette, the Peace is my favorite. And I think it's a flavor that, honestly, I would struggle to get sick of. So, yeah, if I had to choose one cigarette to live with for the rest of my life, one favorite cigarette to live with for the rest of my life, I think the Peace is up there, if not my absolute. And I think I can say with confidence that the Peace is my favorite overall cigarette of all time. Not my favorite absolute cigarette of all time, but it is my favorite overall cigarette of all time. It does everything really well. And it delivers exactly what you want to deliver. Exactly what you want it to deliver. And if I lived in Japan, the Peace would probably be one of my go-to cigarettes. But I can't say that it's my favorite in all categories. That wouldn't be true. But it's definitely my favorite overall cigarette of all time. That's kind of an anticlimactic decision to make, in all honesty. Very anticlimactic decision to make, frankly put. And I realize that I am feeling a little bit underwhelmed myself, so I feel like some of y'all might be feeling underwhelmed as well. But that's the decision that I'm making. The Peace is my favorite overall cigarette of all time. Favorite overall. But not my favorite in all categories. If some cigarette could nail every single category perfectly, it would dethrone the Peace, for sure. But right now, there is no cigarette. There is no cigarette that does every single category perfectly. There's some ones that come close. The American Spirit Grays, the American Spirit Full Body Reds, those come very close. But when it comes down to favorite overall cigarettes, right now, the Peace is still my absolute favorite. Overall, I am very glad I made this video today. This was a very hard decision to make, but I'm glad I made it. It took me a long time. I was not expecting it to take this long for me to decide whether the Peace really is my favorite cigarette of all time. I was expecting 2 smokes and I've got it figured out. No, 3 extra smokes later, and I still barely have it figured out. It's honestly going to take the most of the rest of the pack to really kind of think even more. But making a decision right now, the Peace is my favorite overall cigarette, and I am going to stick to that. Favorite overall cigarette of all time. Smells amazing, packaging is amazing, everything about it is amazing. It's just, when it comes to flavor and strength and stuff like that, it could be a little bit better. But when it comes to just overall, favorite cigarette of all time, I think that's the decision I'm going to be making. Yeah. Well, I can with confidence say, and I'm going to say this one more time, I can with confidence say that the Peace, this cigarette right here, is my favorite overall cigarette of all time. Right now, at least. My decision may change in the future, but right now, at least, the Peace is my favorite overall cigarette of all time. And there we go. There's my decision. There's some other cigarettes that come very close, but the Peace has topped the cake. Favorite overall cigarette, favorite do-it-all cigarette. That's why it is my absolute favorite cigarette of all time. I wouldn't say absolute, actually. That's not really the right way of putting it. Just saying overall is really a right way of putting it. Overall favorite cigarette of all time. Yeah. Well, I have been a little bit scattered during today's video. In all honesty, I really wasn't expecting that. This has definitely been an informative experience, to say the least. It has reminded me of how much memories can mislead you. It really has reminded me significantly of that fact. And I'm very glad to have had this experience today. I'm very glad to have made the decision today. It was a very hard decision to make. I realize it might have been a little bit of an underwhelming decision, but it's the decision I'm sticking to nonetheless. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of the piece, if you guys have tried it in the past. Do you guys like it? Do you guys not? Let me know in the comments down below. And let me know what you guys think of the piece based off of what I had to say during today's video. Does it sound like it would be something that would be your favorite cigarette? Let me know in the comments down below. I think I've answered the question posed at the very beginning of this video, and I think I have made my decision. And so as such, well, there's not really too much else for me to say. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the outro now and end the video momentarily. Thank you so much for watching this video today, guys, where I decided once and for all whether the piece was actually my favorite cigarette of all time or not. Certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. If you guys have enjoyed watching this video, of course, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my P.O. box, and my second channel, all in the description down below. Go check it all out. But, thank you so much for watching, y'all. Till the next one, stay safe in peace and have a great one. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying?